If you ever wondered whether bloom boosters are worth the money or just hype, stick around. We're going to break it all down. But before we do, today's video is brought to you by Real Growers Recharge. If you want stronger, healthier plants, if you want bigger roots for better fruits, you gotta check out Real Growers Recharge. It's like an instant compost tea that holds more nutrients at your root zone, breaks those nutrients down, and makes them more plant available, getting more of your nutrients into your plants. Find out more about Recharge over at realgrowers.com. And while you're there, use coupon code Scotty420 to get 20% off your first order. Now let's get back to the show. Come on, High C. Let's boost some blooms, man.
Bloom boosters. What the heck are we talking about?
A bunch of different stuff, man. A bunch. There's several categories of bloom boosters. A lot of what we're talking about is just getting people excited about big blooms, okay? Let's separate the fact from the fiction here, huh?
Okay, so let's talk about a couple of the different categories of bloom boosters that are out there.
All right, the oldest one is the PK Boost, okay? The 0, 50, 30s, the Monster Blooms, the Cool Bloom powders, things like that. That is a PK Boost. Nothing sexy or fancy there. And by the way, it's a 0, 50, 30. There's a lot of active ingredient in there. Very easy to burn your plants, but you just use, I think it's a quarter teaspoon a gallon. I don't know if you know how little a quarter teaspoon is, but a very little amount. It is just meant to pop up the ratio of your P and K. If you're using, this is way back in the day, but if you're using just a simple one part, it changes the ratio for you. And if you're using, like General Hydroponics has one called Cool Bloom. At the very end of flowering, the last couple weeks, you just want to make sure plants use P and K for flower building, nitrogen for building, green growth and new plant material. By the end, those last couple weeks, we just want to send signals to the plant. There is nothing to build yourself with. You're going to die. Just keep on making these flowers, keep on building these secondary metabolites, and try to attract the pollinator. That's what they're trying to do.
So I thought the idea was in bloom, you lower the nitrogen and keep the P and K the same.
Sure.
But this sounds like people's theory is increase the P and K.
Yes, you want to change the ratio. You want to give it more flower building food than you do green growth building food. But you cannot remove nitrogen. Nitrogen is essential for chlorophyll production. Chlorophyll is essential for allowing the leaf to photosynthesize. You can't cut the nitrogen out, but if you put a ton of nitrogen in flowering and late flowering, it gives mixed signals to the plant. Hey, we got a bunch of stuff to make leaves and make new plant tissue here, but we're senescing. We're getting slower, and we can get the signals that that we're dying. So do we really want to make a bunch of green growth? And it's confusing to the plant.
Yeah, but I guess my question is, I always thought lower your nitrogen.
Sure.
But Bloom Booster seems to take the opposite approach and increase P and K. I thought I didn't need to increase P and K.
It's only at the end. Most of these bloom boosters are used late into flower. And don't forget, in nature, there's all these signals that tell the plant it's fall to start making different hormones. Hey, the nitrogen is not as available anymore because the microbes outside have changed. When I'm thinking about these bloom boosters, like the 0, 50, 30s, they're used way late in flowering. And I really think it is just you've only got a certain amount of exchange sites. The soil can only hold a certain amount of nutrient. So we want to make sure it's more of the P and the K, the flower producing and the secondary metabolite producing nutrients. So when it goes to grab at something, to eat something, there is more P and K than there is a bunch of nitrogen taking its place. That plant will suck up what's there. But I think what your real question is, do I need to add additional P and K at the very end? Don't forget, we already changed the ratio when we switched in the flower. So no, it is just this little extra push. I don't know. Maybe it has to do with the idea that they want to sell you one extra, extra product. But no, you don't necessarily need this.
Okay, so we talked about P and K boosters.
Yeah.
What about, I've seen things called bloom additives.
Yeah, these are different. You don't use these at the very end. These will support healthy blooms or big flowers, and it is things like organic, humic and fulvic acids, amino acids. I don't know if you notice, man. Some of this stuff that is in recharge. And the idea is it's not necessarily just for bloom. They're marketing it just for bloom. But what did we talk about? The humic and fulvic acids, they lower the amount of energy that it takes for the plant to uptake nutrients. What are we trying to do? We're trying to get this plant to uptake nutrients as efficiently as possible. You know what it's going to do when it uptakes those nutrients? It's going to assemble them into amino acids, and it's going to build the plant with those. Well, why don't we just give it amino acids too? And let's get them really easy to get in there. Well, that's probably going to help the plant build itself, build secondary metabolites, build plant materials. So that's what a lot of these have.
Okay, so I get the amino acids.
Sure.
I have heard that some of the bloom additives have been caught adding some other stuff in there that made growers not so comfortable.
There was a lot of shenanigans going on. There was a lot of financial reward for shenanigans. So there was a lot of money to be made, and people were getting really loose on the ingredients. Don't forget, you can you can list your ingredients, and then you can leave a couple things off of there, and I guess you'll see what happens. So they mess around and find out. Did I do that good?
Yeah, and a lot of them did find out. A lot of companies got busted or got ridiculed for adding some of these.
Busted, straight up busted. Salicylic acid, bud candy, the one that was just carbs, was carbohydrates and a microbe food. Yeah, Super Bud, Bushmaster, those were products that were expensive bottles, and it was just paclobutrazol. It was the hard nug stuff, and yeah, imagine that it worked. Phospholode got busted for Alar. It's like dimetrazide, but it's one of these nasty chemicals, man. But as the market has gotten more sophisticated, this stuff's all been flushed out. There are some good ones, man. I'll give it up to Massive from Green Planet. It's a tricantanol product. Legit, man. It's a legit bloom booster.
So these bloom additives, at least now, what's your take on them? Use them, don't use them, up to your own discretion?
I mean, I'm a pretty big fan of amino acids, humic, and fulvics. You should use those somehow. I don't know. You might want to just use them in recharge, get a whole bunch of microbes along with it. But yeah, that is what I think is in a lot of these bloom additives now.
All right. The last ones we're going to talk about, maybe not a bloom booster, more of like a finisher.
Yeah, these are ripeners. I'm thinking of things like Overdrive. There's Flower Finisher. There's our Winter Frost. We like that one from New Millennium. And these are, man, all these. They're not all these. Okay, the PK boosters that we talked about originally, we know what those are. Okay, that's a bunch of P and K. Most of these other products are proprietary. They're black boxes. Don't forget, you can have a soil amendment as long as you don't claim any NPK on it. That's the least amount of regulation. Fertilizer, you claim an NPK on is somewhat regulated. When you have a PGR, when you say I've got something that's a plant growth regulator, it might as well be a pharmaceutical as far as the government's concerned and regulators are concerned. People are not. That's why I congratulated Green Planet on actually putting it on their label. Most of these folks, they just don't put it on the label. It's this magic, this, like I said, a black box. Some of it was shady. There's a lot of it that's legit. So whether it's those amino acid bloom boosters or these finishers or ripeners, they're not telling you what's in there. So you kind of got to figure out, you work backwards, an educated guess. But I'm thinking that because of all the regulation, they're just not telling you what hormones they're putting in there. All the plant makes hormones as it's senescing outdoors. There's, a photo period. There's temperature drops, and all those affect the hormones. So they're able to make these artificial signals. You know, that's what a lot of these things are, I think.
The finishers and the ripeners?
Yeah, there's ethylene. Ethylene is what they use to ripen bananas before they come to the store. So there's different, I don't know what to call them, hormones or whatever, black boxes that will increase the ethylene. There's just these ripeners that they're using, and it's really interesting stuff.
What do they do?
They're going to help the plant finish. They're going to send a signal to the plant that it is time to finish. So it is going to increase its terpene and trichome production, and it's just going to tell it that it's about to get really cold or winter's about to come, and you better do everything you can to stink yourself up and try to attract a pollinator.
Why would I want to add something? Couldn't I get the same effect just by lowering my temps and lowering my light hours?
No, I mean, these, in theory, yes. It's pretty hard to simulate fall and, legit simulate fall like Mother Nature does in my grow. I might be able to turn the temperatures and, change my VPD a little bit. But if I can have chemical signaling, a little bit of chemical help.
Yes, it sounds good. But again, I get kind of concerned if I don't know what I'm giving my plant.
Yeah. And I mean, we've already been burnt. It seems like, what was it? 6, 7, 8 years ago, there was a bunch of crazy stuff going on. I will say a lot of this stuff I do trust. I'll give you an example. My buddy Jaron is part of New Millennium, Gabe as well. Those guys aren't going to put shady, damaging stuff, poisons in their product. The guy Neil, that's their formulator, is a genius when it comes to this stuff. He understands these hormones. He knows how to coax them out of nutrients and chemicals and how to get them into the plant. And the stuff works, man. I will give Winter Frost a thumbs up. A bunch of my friends use it, and it works.
Well, and I know Jaron over at New Millennium, he uses it on his own stuff, and it's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, there's legit products out there. I am not a chemist. I'm not going to pretend that I know all this stuff, how jasmonic pathways work. What I know is that these plants respond to hormones, and that in nature, they're getting hormonal signals. In my grow room, maybe not so much. So by giving them some chemical hormonal signals, a little push in that right direction, hey, it's bloom time, hey, it's time to finish, I think there's some value in that. But that is just me. I use the humics, the fulvics, and the amino acids as my bloom boosters. But do you all use any of these? Come on, let me know in the comments which ones work, which ones don't. Come on, and if you dug this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Come on, share this one with another grower you know. And check out the other couple videos YouTube's recommending. We think you'll dig them.